What we're looking at here is the shoulder seam, and you can see the peach stitches. So I did crochet. I crocheted the front and the back together because I felt like it gave it a stronger seam. Now, if you don't want to see the peach here on the shoulder, you can use a strong thread, something something that'll blend in, the color will blend in. This doesn't bother me, it might bother you. So that's where that is. So what I'm doing now is I am connecting the sleeve, right? So the middle of the sleeve to the shoulder seam. So right like here. And I'm going to use a stitch marker for that. So if I fold the sleeve in half, I see that's the midpoint. I'm going to connect that to the shoulder seam. All right, and now this sleeve I'm going to connect with needle and thread. And I'm going to crochet, I'm going to seam using crochet the other sleeve. But I want to show you both ways, and you can decide what you like the best. Some people call this mattress stitch. First, I threaded my needle and I made a fairly long thread, maybe 2 feet long, and I'm going to go down and up right there, and I'm going to pull the thread halfway through. Okay, so I know you can't see off the screen here, but now we've got half the thread that can go that way and half the thread that can go this way, and that way I know that I'll have plenty to seam. All right, now I'm going to go down. I know we've got these holes here, right? So I'm going to go down before one hole and up past the next hole. And you don't have to worry about pulling it tight yet. I'm going to go back down where I came up before, and then back up partway through this cluster. Okay. Go back down where you came up before, and then up by the next hole. Back down where you came up before, and up. And we're just going to repeat that. Now I know that you can't go down and up in a hole, right? So we're going to kind of catch some of the yarn here. There we go. Bring it back down. It is completely okay if you go through the yarn. In other words, if you like split the plies of the yarn, that's fine. That's actually going to make a stronger seam. All right, so let me just do this a couple more times, and then I'll tighten it so you can see what the end result is. If you're like my mama, she does not like doing any sewing of seams, and she will just crochet this all day long. But I do want you to have the option. And the reason is it makes a more invisible seam. Like, you could see the peach on the shoulder seam that I was showing you before. So it makes less of a bulky seam to do it this way. I would say that's the main advantage. Especially you could use like a thinner thread, like a crochet thread, instead of this yarn. And then it would really be less bulky, but I think you'll be pleased either way. Okay, so now it's kind of magic that you can really just pull tight on either end, and that seam will become invisible. Here's what it looks like on the inside, and here's what it looks like on the outside. So now I'm going to finish this seam, and I will show you what it looks like in just a minute. All right, so I know it's kind of hard to see, but here is the seam right here. So this was the shoulder seam, and now here's the sewn seam. And just a word of warning, I pulled this pretty tight before, and I think I pulled it too tight. So when you're tightening your seam, don't go too crazy because then it'll really bunch up. So word to the wise.